All
Oh,
right,
they're doing the howling.
buddy. It's 8 o'clock on Friday night. You know what that means. It's time to howl.
Ow! I'm not sure if I'm actually hearing sirens or if that's people howling outside.
I think it was actually.
Or is that an airplane?
I don't know.
I heard howling. I heard howling for sure.
There's definitely howling.
Yeah, it's our apartment.
Everybody to solitary confinement on what is in fact our very last show. Oh,
Wah, wah.
yeah.
James, you dressed so fancy for the last show. Did you have a quiche today?
No. No, I just wanted to dress up for the occasion, and it's like I feel like the revolution's coming, so like I'm ready to go at a moment's notice, like Molotov in hand. It'll be perfect.
You look like a mixture between an Al-Qaeda and someone who's going to a patisserie.
Don't forget the pain au chocolat. I need two.
Escargot.
All right, everybody out there. So thanks again for joining us for one more week of solitary confinement. And we're going to go back to our roots. We're going to do what we did on our very, very first show today. We are going to go right back into what would be our normal live stand-up comedy set, because believe it or not, we actually are stand-up comics in some way, shape, or form. I take it. At least that's what I've been telling people for a couple of years now. Not about you guys, but about me.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what I am.
I'll take it.
Yeah, she'll take it. I give it. I don't know what I'm an entertainer.
Yeah, but before we dive into all those things, I do have a couple of things I want to share with our audience. So no, we're going to do our news because it's important to have the news you can use. But before that, since everybody's sitting in Zoom meetings and there's all this time where you have to sit there when everybody's got their microphone on mute and you want to do more than like, hey, to people, we want to teach you just a little tiny bit of the shitty amount of American Sign Language that I know. My grandson, he's 8 years old, he's hard of hearing, so he does American Sign Language and I do it extremely badly. So if I tell you wrong, too damn bad, this is free advice, so take it for what you can get. So the very first ones that you should know is this is yes, right? So it's not just confusing nodding your head. Someone, I think this is no, or this is some other kind of no. I don't think this is necessarily right, but this one's a lot more exciting to me than a flat out no.
So this would be consent for a hand job, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. You can combine signs to get to what you want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, are you grinding pepper at a restaurant right now?
This is a better hand job. If you can do a hand job with two hands, you're being really successful.
That's because Mark's not Jewish.
For the woman too, if you've got somebody that you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're not Jewish. Baruch Hashem.
I've been inside too long. I'll be in my bunk.
One of my favorites is actually this. It means wait. So it's just like, sit there and fondle your balls and wait for me a while, okay? I'm going to be back.
My favorite is drowning. It's pretty morbid. You mean, you just...
The worst part of that is how much time they take. Like it takes so much time to drown.
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's a long.
No, I think that might just be my accent.
Oh, that's a Southern drawl.
I sign with a Southern drawl, I guess. Drowning.
And so I taught a couple of these to Ron and Dia as well.
Oh yeah, this is my favorite after 10 years of living with an introvert and realizing that I'm an asshole. This is my favorite. I'm sorry, right? That's sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't know that hurt your feelings 7 years ago. I would have said sorry then.
Yeah, that might have saved your marriage.
That's not in my wheelhouse. I don't know how to say sorry.
It's not working.
Is this it? Is that it? No? Okay. Okay, can I do mine? I'm so
Yeah, do
excited.
yours, Dia.
I'm so excited. Somebody say something stupid. Say something stupid.
It's supposed to
Rod.
be that small. Oh, okay.
Ron said something stupid. Ready? I call bullshit.
Oh.
Yeah, I love that line. That's an epic
That
one.
was really fun.
Yeah.
I think that looks like a speeder from Star Wars taking a shit. I don't know if it looks like a bull.
Well, you might enjoy this one more, Ron. So it's like, you just do it like this. Like, it means poop. So
Oh.
if you're on the meeting, you go, hey, hang on, everybody. I gotta wait. I gotta poop.
Well, this is another thing. This is another thing that I'm like anticipating using I'm sorry for. Is like I'm sorry, like I feel nervous about this could really happen at some point where like my daughter will come in, like because she does when I'm coaching or having meetings with people. I'm afraid she's gonna come in and be like, Dana, it smells in here. And I'm like, so sorry. Has that happened to anyone? Like, I don't know, like not that like Donna, James isn't gonna run in and be like, Mom, you stanked it up. But like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, do you worry about that? Like if you're by yourself, you're having a Zoom meeting and like you let one rip and then like you're afraid that they're gonna know, and then you have like a fart bubble.
No.
They're not
Oh, Dia, sorry.
used.
Whatever, Dia. That's how I feel when everyone tells me that they're having sex right now during quarantine. I'm just like, I don't even remember what that looks like. I don't.
It looks like this, Ron.
That's what that's what your
bullshit.
sex looks like.
Yeah, I didn't know how to react to that.
Oh, this is my sex, you guys. Come on.
Honest to God, it's like
you guys.
I'm having like an emotional response to when you do that, and I just be like, no, I just want the salad without pepper. Why would I want pepper on my Caesar salad? Like, I've never thought of like pepper being an accompaniment for a Caesar salad. Like, thank you, no.
Is nothing good enough for you? Like, is that what it is?
All right, so let's move on to the news. I think the most important news story that we had this week, and it's, normally I do bizarre noise, but this is like real news, and yeah. So for those of you who had not heard, at the news conference on Thursday, Trump gave us some wonderful advice on maybe things we could do to cure corona. And specifically, this is a direct quote. And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in like 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost to cleaning? Because you see, it gets in the lungs and it does a tremendous number on the lungs. So it would be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with, but it sounds interesting to me. Public service announcement: do not drink bleach and do not inject bleach. You will die.
I don't know. Like, isn't it like you use a bleach chaser after the Tide Pod? Is that what's supposed to go on here with this presidential approved or this doctor, Deborah Bricks? Yeah.
Deborah Bricks is the doctor who is part of the what the hell is she?
Oh, so Trump is the moron saying stuff, and these are the people that try to have meaningful careers after all this nonsense, right?
Right, because it's like the first thing he said before that is like, sunlight and things that are supposed to kill corona as well as heat. And he looks over at the doctor and he says, so can we do things to like put sunlight inside of people or like raise their body temperature to kill the germs? And the doctor's like, yeah, that's what a fever is. When your body gets hotter, it's trying to kill the germs by making the environment hotter. So that already happens. And then he went on the thing about let's inject some disinfectants.
I gotta say, that was my favorite Trump impersonation of all time. It was like Keanu Reeves took a trip to Chechnya. it was so vivid. For a minute there, I felt like, oh my God, I hope there's 4 more years, you know?
Oh, I don't hope that. I hope
No.
this is the last one.
Now, Friday, he said he was joking. He said it was sarcastic, and it wasn't sarcastic.
No, he just dumb.
What does it matter anymore? Like, I'm sorry to be all cynical, but like, sorry. What is yeah. What's it gonna take? What's it gonna take? Nothing. You know what I mean? Like, he just told people to kill themselves. Like,
Yeah, like take a swim in bleach, you'll end up like this.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah. Well, even the White House team is starting to go like, you know what? Maybe we should have less press conferences. Maybe they should be a little bit shorter now.
Just fucking lawyer up and shut up.
But yeah, you used to use some sort of bleaching thing on your face, and that was safe. What was that?
Yeah, so if bleaching is really where it's at, and maybe I do need to like bleach some body parts, the Jolene cream bleach, come on ladies, you know what I'm talking about. We would put it on our black mustaches in order to camouflage it. So instead of a black mustache, it's fluffy orange hair, so it's camouflaged.
Like Trump's hair.
Like Trump's hair. Like you could put a Trump toupee on your lip and you could be corona free.
I just miss the 90s now. Whatever happened to that? Like that, I thought.
Still on the shelf. You could go get it right now.
But people don't do it. Like I don't see people with that mustache anymore.
No, it was very 80s, wasn't it? It was very kind of Linda Evans, Dallas Dynasty.
Sure.
What took its stead?
Know those references.
Waxing and electrolysis and what do you call it? Laser. Everyone was like, yeah, the fluffy blonde orangey mustache probably isn't that sexy, maybe.
You know, this brings up a good point. So I'm going to be back on the market soon. And so for men, what's the standard protocol? Like trim the hedges, no trim, like fully bare, what's up? What are the ladies like? James, let me know.
I don't know. I haven't been laid in a while, so I'm kind of in the same boat that you are there. Okay, I prefer to keep it trim because, you know, it's just uncomfortable after a while.
How long is your fucking hair, dude?
I don't know. I keep it trimmed short for a reason.
Oh, Brian's here. I see a sighting. There's a sighting.
It does look bigger when you trim it.
That's true.
Okay, fair enough. And then so
if
does my
interested in your balls too, makes it more interesting.
Which brings up my next question. Did a small penis size make a comeback yet?
Cunnilingus. Wow. You got to be good at cunnilingus.
Okay, compensating at it.
There's a fetish for everything, Ron.
Speaking of fetishes for everything, last bit of news before we dive into our comedy sets. Yeah, we're gonna be funny in a minute, I swear, guys.
We're good.
James, you heard something about this. Is it possible to catch corona from farts?
Yes, on a local radio show when I was driving into work one day. There is absolutely a way that you can catch corona from farts, but you have to be about like 3 feet away. They can't be wearing pants. So you're basically already at the point of eating ass anyway. So you were probably going to catch it regardless.
Yeah, that's definitely some news we can use. And I don't think bleaching your butt hair is going to help with that, especially not with industrial bleach.
Yeah, that's true. I think
the end of the world, fuck it.
Alrighty then. So there you go, everybody. Do with it as you will. I think it'd just be safe to not eat acid at all. I can comfortably say as a Gen X, that's something that didn't really ever cross our minds.
Is it a millennial thing or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that was a resounding yes.
It's a thing. Like, It gets progressively worse with every generation, Ron. I'm sorry, your daughter's going to be into weird shit.
Fair. So she has access to the internet 24/7. Like what? Like who's to
Oh
say?
yeah.
They'll invent things.
Yeah.
I did it once. I'm not gonna lie. I did it once. My sister told me not to, which sounds like a really bad setup. I didn't do it. Wow, that just came out. You know what I mean? I did it once, and then I later told my sister and my dad, actually in the same room, and they both said not to do that to someone else.
I just want to take this moment to tell the audience.
I was doing it. I was administering it to a lovely lady. She had like it was consensual.
How could you do it non-consensual?
That's fair.
That's uncomfortable to think about.
Anyways, so Ron, give us the rest of the story. Okay, you got to spill the tea now.
Oh no, it was very basic. It was like I dated this girl. I was from the north side of Chicago, and she was on East Chicago. And it was like literally like if I drive her home, it's like a 2-hour drive. I need a passport. Like it was very uncomfortable. But anyway, I was like, I don't know why. I was drawn to do that, and I was like all about it. And I was telling my sister and my dad, I was like, I had the best night last night. I ate ass. And my dad's like, oh, that's disgusting. And my sister's like, you shouldn't do that because my sister's a doctor. She's like, you can get microbes and stuff. And I was like, oh, and I'm OCD, like, you know, I classify. So then that shut it down for me. This was 2004 or 5 maybe. Yeah, I haven't done it since. Never went back.
Probably a smart thing.
Yeah, although it would be a bitch now if I got the COVID, because I was like, fuck, at least then I got some action. It would have been worthwhile. Those two did not connect. I mean, that was not sensitive. That was not fair to anyone, including the chick that I ate her ass. I was a lot heavier than I ate a lot of things that I don't eat now. So, you know, like gluten and dairy.
Well, you really do live in Boulder, don't you?
I live in the outskirts.
It counts.
You know what? Fuck Boulder. I'm gonna tell you, fuck Boulder. I drove through it the other day, like last weekend. And like it didn't look like there was anything different. Like no one was quarantined. People were like sledding. It was when it was snowing. People were like sledding, like standing next to each other. I was very concerned. Yeah.
Shall we get on to sets then?
I can't tell if you didn't approve what I said or you're just ready to go.
Don't worry about it.
Wait, pretty, period.
What's a pretty bad period?
Have you ever met a pretty good period?
Yes, I've met some pretty good periods when you really wanted your period. Those are really good periods.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, do you get periods with the anosmia?
Why would that affect anything?
How would my nose affect my twat?
Well, if you have to ask, you don't know.
How do you have a daughter?
I don't know. I'm still working it out.
Well, anyway, so that being said, so one of the stories that I wanted to share with all of y'all today is it actually does involve my dad and finding out a little bit more about my dad than I ever really wanted to know. And it also kind of ties in, I know a lot of people are still binge watching TV and things like that. So a few years ago, my stepmom takes me out to lunch and we're at Chili's and we're having fajitas and we're having a grand old time. And all of a sudden, just out of the blue, she goes, I don't know what it is about that Game of Thrones show, but it sure does make your dad horny. And I'm I don't know how to react to that. And I'm like, just on the spoon, I have like a huge old glop of sour cream and it just slowly plops all over my fajitas. And I'm like, what? Oh, and she goes, oh yeah, there's just that show. He just turns all randy like a teenager. I'm like, okay, thanks. For the next several months after that, Ryan, my husband, is all like, hey, do you want to watch Game of Thrones? And I'm like, no, no, I do not. I really don't want to know what's getting my dad going. And, we didn't have HBO and all the rest of this stuff, but finally he gets like the first 3 or 4 seasons on DVD. And so every night, you want to watch Game of Thrones? I'm like, do we have to? And he goes, yeah, the first season can be a little rough because you have to do a lot of character setup and things like that. I'm like, okay, fine. Let's just go ahead and watch it. I hear there's dragons. I'm a dragon fan. We'll stick in here for dragons. So he puts it in, and the very first sex scene in the very first episode is Peter Dinklage, who plays Tyrion Lannister. He's a little person. And that's the very first sex scene where he's at a whorehouse with like 1 or 2 women. And I'm like, okay, interesting. Midget porn. And then I'm like watching, I'm trying to figure out who all the characters are, and I have really bad facial recognition, so that's really rough for me. So it's like they're having their feast, and there's all these blonde people. There's like this really good looking blonde guy, a really good looking blonde girl, and they're kind of flirting with each other, but she's obviously the queen. And this big fat pig with some other woman sitting on his lap, that guy's the king. But why is she making eyes at this other guy? And then, at the end of that episode, it's the 2 blonde people are like going at it. And I'm like, okay, I'm still trying to figure out the relationship. Wait a minute. Those 2 are brother and sister? What the hell? What the fuck is wrong with my dad? Why is this turning him on? Midget porn and incest? Good Lord. And I'm like, okay, that's just mind blowing. And so Ryan's like, yeah, the plot's a little slow. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's what's blowing my mind. The plot is slow. But, I stick in there and I go through it and we watch the whole first season. And at the end of every episode, I'm all like, Ryan, where are the dragons? You told me there was going to be dragons. I have to sit through all this uncomfortable soft porn of my dad's. I need to see some goddamn dragons. So, spoiler alert, the dragons don't show up until the very last scene of the very last show of the first season. And the dragons are only this big. And I'm like, God damn it. I had to watch all that soft porn of my dad's to get dragons that are this big. Duh. But yeah, I did watch the whole series. I mean, I got over it, but it was kind of like an uncomfortable sort of thing, especially when you consider who my dad is. So my dad has a PhD in engineering. He's worked on NASA stuff. He's like this uber super conservative Christian guy, and just really didn't need to picture any of that stuff from my dad. But anyways, interesting family relations. But overall, I've shocked my dad a few times, I'm sure, more than plenty. But some of my early things was, it all relates back to like my favorite crime. So for those of you who know, I'm like a recovering addict and alcoholic, and you think I'd have like all these really interesting crimes of stealing shit and, definitely had illegal drugs on me most of the time and things like that. But that's not actually the crimes I ever got in trouble for. No. My favorite crime is fraud. I just can't stop committing fraud. And it started off when I was like in elementary school, because I was just a kid, and I'm a Gen X, so I was a latchkey kid. As soon as I was in elementary school, my mom went off to work, my dad was working, and if I didn't feel like going to school, I just didn't go, right? Everybody else had already left the house, and I'm like, fuck it. I don't see any reason to go to school and get bullied. And then back then you had to do handwritten notes from your parents to get excused. So my dad had the worst handwriting in the world. So I would just write the notes and sign them as my dad. So I did that for like 2 years. I just didn't go. I didn't skip every single day, but I skipped a lot of days. And I didn't get caught until I was in junior high. And I'm like 13 years old, and they finally figure out, they call my dad to verify the note. And my dad, he's just like, I'm so disappointed in you, Donna. I can't believe that you would stoop to do such a thing. And my punishment from the school was I had to go to the detention box. So the detention box, it was just like this wooden room, and it just had wooden benches, and it didn't even have posters on the wall. It might have had posters like "Don't be an asshole" or something on the wall. And I had to sit there in the penalty box. A penalty box would have been cool. This was like, you know, the detention box. At least in the penalty box, the hockey players can watch the game. I just had to sit there with like a couple of other bad kids and think about what I had done. And that was it. That was it. But every now and then the whole fraud thing kind of comes back up. So a few years ago, James has done a ping pong thing with my house, right? So he's moved out and come back, moved out, come back, and that's fine. I don't care about that. I like him. He's cool. But so a few years ago, he had done the ping pong, and elections were coming up. And it wasn't even a big election. It was like not a presidential election, not anything like that. But there was this person running for city council in my rinky-dink fucking suburb town of, you know, here in Denver suburb. And I was like, God, I hate that bitch. So I told everybody, vote against her, because I just couldn't stand her, right? And, you know, I convinced my demented mom to vote against her. I convinced Ryan to vote against her. And then we had gotten James's ballot mailed to our house. And I was all like, yeah, James would do what I would want him to do. So I fill out ballot and I mail it in. I just forged his signature because James has a shitty signature too. And turned out, by the way, in case you didn't know this, voter fraud is actually very rare. In spite of what some people might tell you, it's exceedingly rare. And we got a letter back at the house that said, oh, the signatures didn't match the signature on file, so this vote didn't count. So I'm like, so what? Who cares? And then just nothing really happens until like months and months later. And I'm doing an escape room with James, and he's all like, man, he got a phone call, and he's like, man, I can't believe these people keep calling me. I'm like, what? He goes, it's like the prosecutor. Is that who it was, James?
No, it was an election official that was continually calling me to figure out if I had attempted to vote or not in Jefferson County while I was living in Adams County. And I had to explain to them, after I found out from Mom when I brought it all up, that, oh, I totally did a thing. And I'm like, you realize that's a fucking felony, right, Mom?
It is. It totally is. And that's the thing. It's like, because he was at the escape room and he's like, why do these people keep calling me about this? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. That was me. I did that.
That was like the most uncomfortable escape room we've ever done. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, being trapped in a small room with your family, like we're all doing it right now. But being trapped in a small room with your family and you have to get out, and there's a really uncomfortable thing of, hey, Mom, you can't commit felonies with my signature, asshole. What the fuck?
Yo, who the fuck is this election official? What, like Javert from Les Mis? Like, you stole a loaf of bread. Like, 20 years I'm gonna follow you because of election fraud. What the fuck? People are committed.
Yeah, here's the thing. I like actually looked up after that because I had to like go talk about it in my 12-step meetings. You know, just I had to, you know, do I need to make amends to the government man for committing voter fraud? And yeah, because I looked it up and it's exceedingly rare. It is a felony. Usually you don't get jail time, but you could, and you massive fines and penalties and stuff like that. So don't commit. I was very fortunate. James does love me. He did not turn me into the election officials or whatever, because the election official is totally like, would you like to press charges? because I know they knew it was me. You know?
So what happened was when I was talking to the person on the phone, I was trying my damnedest to, one, not lie to a government official, and two, not sell out my mom at the same time. And so they were like, did you ever live at this address? And I'm like, yeah, that's my mom's house. And he's like, oh, well, sometimes a parent will do this, that, and the other thing. Would you like to press charges? And I'm like, no, no, I would not. I do not live in Jefferson County. I'm not pressing charges on this thing. Just don't count the vote. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. That's my lesson to the world. Don't commit fraud. So anyway, thanks. That's my set for everybody. And next up we have our muse, our master, the king of disaster. That would of course be Mr. Ron Ben Joseph.
Ooh, thank you so much.
Woo.
Donna, it's so funny. Like you're talking about the detention box. Like I feel like I saw an episode of the A-Team where they put B.A. Baracus in a detention box. It was like in a hole. It was like, you know what I'm talking about, that episode where they're like he's in a jail, but it's like in a hole. Anyway, I just had PTSD for the A-Team. All right, so here we go. We'll get the party started. I'll just start right away here. I'm gonna do tonight. I decided, since we're all going through so much craziness, I'm just gonna sing some love songs. How's that sound? Is that good?
Perfect.
Yeah.
I always wanted to feel loved.
You what?
I always wanted to feel loved.
James, if you want to feel loved, don't look like you're recruiting for Al Qaeda. Look at you with the fucking yellow thing in the background. She's
The
talking about
Celtic
voting and you.
knotwork tapestry.
It's a beautiful design, but when you see the bottom of it and you see what you're wearing, I feel like you'll be like, "Hakalakala!"
That's just because you're Jewish and terrified of everything.
It's the truth. It's the truth. Even when this thing's over, I'm keeping the mask. I thought love was only true in fairy tales, meant for someone else, but not for me. Love was out to get me. That's the way it seemed. Pointing on it, all my dreams. Then I saw her face. I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I can leave her if I choose. This is not a good song. This is not a romantic song. I'm not okay with the song. It's very one-sided. It feels like that's what's that? Not the Police song where it's like, every step you take, I'll be watching you. Like that does not feel comfortable.
It's definitely not a love song.
It's very much not a love song. We've been living. I live with my co-parent, my former wife, and but we like solidified the relationship. Like we're good. Like we are friends. We are besties. Like we are co-parents. And so I'm like, okay, like I feel ready to move on. And so I'm working on like being a parent, not like a professional one, but like being a smooth, like a good looking, like I look like I'm the extra on Miami Vice. It's like, today's the day, man. I'm gonna get a screenshot today, you know. I'm gonna get it close up to. But so I'm working on being smooth, ready? So this is me being like a smooth, good looking, like fucking maybe like a little dark. Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. My face looks like I'm not sure. My face, like looking at my face. This is great. I love performing this way because we get to see our faces. I feel like I'm like Freddie Prinze Jr. Like, is it? It's a C. Like every answer is like I am intimidated as fuck. Like, Dia, you were talking about. I think last time you were saying like you were scared about like getting back into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I do feel that like I've been dating actually like legit. The past few weeks I told my co-parent, I'm like, I've been dating like crazy, legit. I dated like 3 women in the past 2 weeks. They didn't know it, and like which made the breakup easy for me and their husbands. Some of them have husbands. The husbands didn't know; they were fine. But I feel I'm nervous. I'm nervous about dating in Colorado because like everyone has these profiles like on Facebook, on Tinder, all these things where they're all like outdoors. You know, they're active. Like I'm from Chicago, so for me, like hiking is like going around Target twice without buying something. Like shit, like going with my daughter, not getting for her. That's like an Iron Man. And but everyone's like so outdoorsy and stuff, and I see they're all like pictures of them like with like just like tank tops, and like I do not look good in a tank top, or they're like in like they look like they're in like a body of water, and like like I think like me personally, I'm not gonna drive 4 hours to go sit in an open body of water where something is gonna bite me. Like I don't need Lyme disease, you know what I mean? I don't need lemon disease. I don't need any of these fucking diseases. I feel like I'm sorry I'm talking about myself so much, but I have to share. Like I think sightseeing is ridiculous. 2 words that do the same. Like what are you gonna do with a sight but see it?
Right.
It's a shitty. Honest to God, it's a shitty excuse to stay in a hotel. But yeah, so I just feel like I'm gonna like I don't know. I'm gonna miss out on a lot of opportunities. Like I feel like they all go to breweries. I'm making generalizations, but you see these pictures, like they're all at breweries and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to go to a brewery. I don't want to sit and listen to Todd fucking talk about like, oh, this beer has too much hops in it. Like when I brew it at home, it doesn't have as much. I don't care, Todd. I don't care about your beer. Okay, I'm busy working. I have a child. I got shit. Like I got stuff going on. I got life. You know what I mean, Todd? I don't care. Yeah. And then I have to explain to her later, like, I'm sorry, I don't want to go out. Like, Todd's an asshole. He's not an asshole. He doesn't say anything mean, but you know what? It's draining. I'm an introvert. Like, that shit is draining for me. I set out on a narrow way many years ago, hoping I would find true love along the broken road. But I got lost in time. I'm doing a country song because I feel like that's my version of being like outdoorsy. I got lost a time or two while my brown kept pushing through. I couldn't see how every sign pointed straight to you. Every long lost tree led me to where you are. Others who broke my heart, they were like northern stars, pointing me on my way into your loving arms. This much I know is true, that God bless the broken bone, led me straight to you. So that's what it'd be like if I was smooth. I'm gonna sing another song. You guys, this is my new favorite song to sing. This is a true story. And this is like a really pretty song. I'm nervous to sing it. I sang it a few weeks ago, but I'm gonna sing it. Okay. You fill up my senses like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain.
Oh.
Sorry, I thought that was so relaxing. I soothed myself just now. Donna, that's not the song. That's not the song. That's not the John Denver song I'm gonna close it out on.
Okay.
Heavens, we gotta do the song you like. Here we go. Almost heaven, West Virginia.
No. Oh, I fucked it up.
Is Ryan singing?
No.
Oh.
Ron.
Dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eyes. Country road, take me home. Do you hear that fucking Greg Brady thing happening there? When it's time to change, gotta rearrange. Guys,
That's a country yodel.
That's a country yodel. Did the person that was on here before stop when I started singing?
Yes.
Way to not sugarcoat that, Dia.
Yes.
We're all realists now.
I saw it
Quarantine's hard
happen.
with us.
You saw it happen while I was singing?
Yes.
Bag of dicks. All right, that's my set. Thank you so much.
Oh, buddy.
There you go.
Well, Laura stayed on.
People.
Laura
Love
loves
you,
you.
Laura. Don't leave us, Laura.
Oh, my guitar fell.
Don't leave Ron. He needs this.
I had someone. I did a set with a friend of mine from Chicago, and last week, and he had a friend on that was like, "Oh yeah, okay, do the songs." And I was like, "Are you sure I'll do this?" And then the friend wrote in the chat, he wrote, maybe just the guitar.
That's not nice. That's not nice at all.
You know, you put yourself. People don't like music on Zoom, I guess, or just my music.
We love your music.
Thank you. That's my set. Y'all have been wonderful.
All right, thanks, Ron. And next up, we do indeed have the fruit of my lines, my own crotch fruit. That would, of course, be James Day.
Waka waka. Yeah. My mom was mentioning earlier that I've bounced around living here at her place, like pretty much my entire adult life. The first time I had moved back home, though, was before I was of legal age to drink. I had moved out when I was 18 because I was like, fuck you, I've got to go out and make my own mistakes and make them I fucking did. And
Yeah,
I
because
ended
you
up moving
moved in
back
with
after
the.
she dumped me.
Yes.
And I was living here at my mom's place in the basement, like, any other kind of red-blooded American male that's a millennial, really, just moving back in. It has phases. It's just something that we millennials do at this point in time in our lives. And I'd gone over to a friend's house a couple of blocks away, and we were playing a drinking game called 10,000, which is where you take 5 dice, and depending on what you roll is how many points you score in hundreds for matching dice. It's like a crazy fucked up version of Yahtzee. And I was appointed to be the scorekeeper. And in being the scorekeeper, I had to write down everybody's score totals. And I don't remember much of the actual night because I got blackout drunk. But when I came back to the place the next day, you could see at the exact point I had started to get really, really hammered because my pen marks started curving like this off of the page. And at some point I decided, oh man, I have to work tomorrow because I worked at Subway. Further blocks away, something within walking distance with which to reach with my Cadillac Escalades. And when I decided I was going to leave, I apparently just stood up and walked out, and the folks I was drinking with had no idea I had even disappeared. But I left behind my wallet, my keys, and my phone, and stumbled off into the night to find my way home. I did not, in fact, find my way home the very first time out, because as I was drunkenly stumbling about, I would have periods of consciousness where I would become cognizant of where I was. And as I was stumbling along in the night through the streets of Arvada, I open my eyes and I look around and I'm like, oh shit, I'm in Old Town. I'm about 10 miles away from my house, I'm pretty sure. And so I just kind of turned myself around because I was like, well, I clearly went the wrong way. I'll just go back the way I came, not actually knowing which direction I had come from. And I stumbled off into that direction, closed my eyes, and hoped. As I blundered along, I eventually found a house and I tried to open the door. It looked familiar. I was pretty confident it was my place, but I ended up tripping on the front step and getting the screen door caught on my neck. And so I was trapped underneath this screen door, floundering, asking for help from anybody inside, not even sure if I had the right house. Luckily, it was the right house because my mom opens the door, sees my pathetic predicament, and luckily she takes pity on me fairly frequently. I mean, that's why I'm here again right now. But I was floundering underneath the door. I managed to get free and I stand up. I didn't recognize my own mother and I reach into my pockets for as much change as I could find. And I just kind of dump it in her hand and say, I'm renting a room for the night, stumble inside and passed out.
That's awesome.
So this isn't the first time I've been trapped at home, but it's definitely been the longest time under quarantine trapped at home as compared to being trapped physically by the actual house.
What was truly epic was the next morning when you come cruising up from the basement and you're just like still kind of stumbling back and forth, and you sit down on the chair like this, and the smell was quite impressive. And you're like just sitting there like that. And I'm like going, James, you're gonna get changed? And you're like, why? They go, because you're covered in the puke from last night. And you're like, oh. And then you went off to work, right?
Yeah, then I ended up going to work. The part that sucked about going to work that day was I was working at Subway. So I had to make the tuna for that day. That hung over. And like I was feeling piss poor the entire time. And like I'm sitting out in the back alley smoking a cigarette, trying to just not feel so nauseous. And they're like, hey, we need you to make the tuna. And I'm like, okay, I'll go make the tuna. I get up, I go in and I start making the tuna. I get the fish smell and I'm like, ugh. And then I get that mayonnaise smell and then it's just like, ah. And then I mix the two together and then I into the tuna. And then they're like, yeah, you can go home now.
Oh.
So how much did they sell the tuna special for that day, though?
Woo!
I think they were giving away 6 inches for free by the end of it. Isn't that what you're doing, Ron?
Yeah, I wish it was on a good year. Yeah. In total, by the end of the year, it's 6. James, don't even joke right now. I'm waiting to hear your demands to let the ambassadors go. Okay, with this fucking.
I have no demands.
It's like a
I just
ransom
want to
before.
watch the world burn, Ron.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, I loved you in Iron Man 3. The point is that I have to add this. This is a sidebar. What kind of do they use? Chicken of the sea? Like what kind of Starkist or Sun? What kind of tuna do they use?
Unnamed tuna A. And it comes in a giant, like 5-pound bag that you have to open with, something super hygienic like scissors that are just hanging on the wall.
Ooh.
To start from the coronavirus too.
But granted, this was like 10 years ago too. So
Oh yeah, it was always supposed to be fresh though.
yeah, I don't think the tuna was ever fresh. But the smell of that day is still fresh in my mind.
I don't pity you, smelly people. Doesn't sound exciting to me.
No.
Oh dear.
All right, well, thank you very much, James. So glad you survived your adventure and actually got escaped from the garage, or it was the screen door. So
Yeah, don't worry. I'll get out of your house eventually.
yeah, not too worried about it. You'll be back. You'll be back.
That was the sweetest interplay I've ever seen between the two of you. That was like your version of "I love you." It's like watching Leave It to Beaver.
I wasn't gonna cry.
It's like Leave It to Beaver with the outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's more like Leave It to Beaver with Mad Max.
Just walk away.
Hey, someday I will get Ryan to dress up as, the Lord Humongous. That's my fantasy.
Sure.
Is he?
Like more power to you. Can you guys wait till I move out?
No.
Yeah, James, can you ever hear what's going on in other rooms?
It's right next to me.
Oh, sorry.
That's exciting.
Oh, happy Friday.
All right, and on
I'd
that
like to forget.
lovely note, we do have,
We don't need another hero.
all right, anyway, on that lovely note, we still have one more wonderful performer. Dia is going to share her memoirs with us from, I can hardly wait to hear this. So go for it, Dia.
Okay, tonight I'm here to inspire you, and I'm going to take you on a trip. Since we're all stuck in quarantine, I am going to take us to Australia. But I'm
Woo.
also going to inspire you because looky, these are my journals from when I was 16 years old and a junior in high school, and I was an exchange student. I went for a year abroad to anywhere. I had no place I really wanted to go, so I decided on Australia because koalas and they speak English. So I figured I'll go there. Now, I wanted to go and get kind of worldly, sophisticated, go on adventures, make good friends, all of that perfect stuff. But I had a boyfriend back at home and I was deeply in love with him. And I wanted to come back a better, improved, and thinner person for him to love and be worthy of him. But of course, my journey wasn't that easy. January 22nd, 1989. It was so sad saying goodbye to everyone. I started crying, holding on to Deg. I don't know whether to be happy, excited, or sad. This time away will help us build an incredible relationship. I'll get to know him so well as everyone else. This is going to be a truly exciting adventure. January 25th, 1989. My host mother, Shirley, met me at the station. I also met Marvin, my host father, and Charla, my host sister. They seem to be wonderful people. They have beautiful land and beautiful horses. The town, Tomigo, is pronounced Tomigo, and it's written that way. Life here seems to me like it will be school, horses, and sleep. January 27th, 1989. I went and got my school uniform. It's almost as bad as I thought it would be. I went with Shirley. I'm getting to know her. She seems to be very nice, but she has a lot of old-fashioned ideas, little things like, say, racism and patriarchy. January 30th, 1989. I should describe their house. Well, it's on beautiful land. The house itself is not fancy, with thin walls and almost tacky decorations. I'm growing comfortable with it. Their culture level isn't very high, but that's pretty much the same with all Australians. February 1st, 1989. Today was the first day of school. I talked to 5 exchange students and they all told me they wish they'd only put down for half a year instead of a year. They said they all wanted to go home. I called my mom and asked if I could come home in June. A full year seems way too long. The classes seems real remedial, except English. February 6th, 1989. I really miss Dag. I feel like he's my one and only, and I don't need to look anymore. I really want to kiss him right now, to feel his skin against mine and feel his whiskers. I love the way he looks when he doesn't shave for a few days. God, is it sexy. February 16th, 1989. So far, I've gotten 4 letters from Dag. Each of them is at least 8 pages.
Ooh.
I wish I could express my thoughts as good. I miss everyone. Lonely. March 5th, 1989. At the beach, in the ocean, with Cindy, I was being swept over towards the rocks. My leg got caught in between two rocks and the undertow was pulling me under and the waves were big and pounding on me. I really felt like I was gonna die. All I kept thinking about is I'm too young and I love Dag. It was terrible. When they dropped me off, I introduced them to the Simmons and fucking Shirley was about as rude as you could possibly get. March 9th, 1989. I miss Dag and want to fuck his brains out. April 27th, 1989. No mail today. I better get a lot tomorrow. I have 30 cents to my name. I should be getting $100 very soon, 50 of which goes to Dag for the phone bill. Bloody phone bills. Lucille Ball died today. God, what a loss. Speaking of loss, want to know another loss? I spent 5 fucking months in Australia and I only saw one frickin' koala.
Oh.
My last entry captures exactly how grateful I was for the whole abroad adventure and the exchange student program EF that was responsible for my entire trip. May 25th, 1989. Last night, Sin picked me up and we all went out for tea. We picked up McDonald's, 2 bottles of champagne and a cask of red. And we went up on a hill in Newcastle, ate, drank, took pictures and looked around at the lights. I should say we went shopping, but it was more like shoplifting. Just little things nobody'll miss. I got a boomerang, keychains, and a picture frame. I bought the boomerang. While I was at Sin's, Cheryl called. What a bitch. She can go suck a garbage truck. Shirley picked me up and I got Vegemite and a peace mug. I wanted an Australia one. I'm still looking. Then I talked to my mom and EF didn't call her to tell her I was coming home on the 29th. Now that is slack. EF should be shut down, ass wipes. So she's calling tomorrow to get me a new flight out of LA. Fucking soap opera. In the end, my dreams of having the Australian adventure that I could brag about were left in shitty Tomago with Marvin and Shirley and Charla. But I was still proud of myself for going on the epic adventure. And while I didn't come home and blow Dag's mind with my newfound worldliness, sophistication, and thinness, I did fuck his brains out in a pop-up trailer in the driveway of his friend's house as soon as I got back. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dia, for sharing that.
Delightful.
Oh, now he's a Bond villain.
Yeah.
I will need $1 billion to pay off my other debts.
Got the cat.
I don't know if I should have a British accent or order shawarma from you.
Or he could be Professor
$8.50.
Quirrell from the first Sorcerer's Stone. He might have a head growing out the back of his head, of another face.
No, that's just shame.
Nah.
Oh my God, it was James all along.
It was long.
What now?
Dia, we were
I didn't
both in
hear.
Australia at the same time. I didn't know that.
Fitting.
Yeah, mate. Where were you? Wait, what?
Good
Tom
on
Jo-
you. I was
good on
by
ya.
Newcastle.
Oh, I was in Melbourne. But we didn't
We did not
intersect.
hook up.
No, I was 9 years old, so.
Oh, wait
I was 1.
Millennial fucker.
Yes, I had my own worldly adventure going on at that time.
And that was?
That was?
Fearing children.
Oh.
Oh, right.
yeah.
Yeah. James was 1. Duh.
Yeah, and let's see, March 5th, my daughter was born March 18th, 1989. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I have Irish twins.
Mhm.
I know one of them looks like he's Irishly driving a cab right now.
Yeah.
You just what is it today? You just think I'm a cabbie. I think.
Turn into ya, I am
You're like with that thing in the background, you look like you should be part of Al Qaeda or something. Really, you're just saying it looks ethnic in some way. What's
No,
wrong
no,
with you, Ron?
I'm sorry.
Older getting to you?
It really is. I'm sorry. I should be more specific. I didn't mean you were part of Al Qaeda. I meant your HR. I meant your recruiting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't mean you were
top
part
tier, top tier.
of it. Yeah, you're
I'm
executive.
social media manager.
Right. Well, I'm sure James is going to go wrestle up those 72 virgins for everybody, but
Oh, snap.
everyone else, thank you very much for joining us on solitary confinement, and stay safe, stay sane, don't shoot anybody, and for God's sake, don't drink or inject bleach.
Or eat ass.
Or bleach your mustache. Don't do it, just shave it off.
Or bleach an ass that you're about to eat.